Anyways. Yeah, be safe though. I don't want you getting in an accident.
No, it's in the cup holder now. Let me turn on the AC. So yeah, it's my first time recording on the road, but I'm still trying to do a soft launch on February 1st to the Android store. I think I'm like 90% done with the UI stuff, and now I'm curious what your thoughts are. I just plan on writing, like literally writing on a notepad, all the use cases that I need to demo to myself in regards to the objective of this app. And then I'll just start checking things off in addition to filling in the missing functionality to make things work seamlessly per use case. I got a lot done. And you're telling me how like you would like to use it for your ice fishing. I sent you the repo. I'm not sure if you had a chance to pull it down or not. But that's it. I think I started this project like 5 weeks ago. I'm getting close, air quotes, to getting this stuff completed. And then after the soft launch, I think I'm going to probably lock myself into my bedroom for a week and try to understand this Anthropic Claude thing.
Yeah, that's learning Claude is a good thing. I actually bought the $100 max plan. Don't buy the pro plan, buy the $100 one. You're gonna run out. You'd run out of the max one, but yeah, I think your plan's good. Obviously, so when you're going on to like Notepad and filling out a list or whatever, that's a technique called prioritize and execute. So to make your list up and then prioritize it and just execute it one by one. That's helped me a lot with a few things. I did pull down the repo. I actually started having Claude build a back end for it, but I didn't want to spend the time trying to figure out how to get the Android emulator working. I tried it once or twice, but I was like, this is just not turning on. So after a while, I'm just like, no, screw it. I'm not doing it. I'll just create the server. I never pushed it up or anything to a branch, but yeah.
When you do that, do you literally just point it to the view models and say, hey, here are the view models. Make this thing hit a server. Is that so like what's your prompt logic?
So what I did, I think, was I told it to analyze the project.
I think I might have to disable it.
Yeah, I told it to analyze the project, and then I said we are trying to add I told it what the goal was, trying to add a server, and I said, where's the most logical place to plug this in based on the current architecture? And I think it put it into it said, all right, the best place to put this is in storage, or in the storage one at a specific spot. Yeah. Continue to use SQLite offline, use from here, sync to server, whatever. And then I told it that there's real-time people, like multiple people and stuff. So then I explained it. And then I told it, essentially, I want you to use Orleans to build this server so that we have no concurrency issues between people operating on the same project. And I mean, it built the models and everything. And just I had no way to even begin to understand how to test it because I couldn't get the app running. And I don't know the F# code very well, but
you couldn't get the app. You never ran a Xamarin app before?
God, I might have at one time, but I haven't run anything anything XAML based in a long time.
Do you have the code base on your machine right now?
Not this machine. I have it up on my another machine.
Oh, but I was just gonna say so you just right click, just like APIs, API projects. You just right click the executable. In this case, the executable is going to be called like on-site management or whatever it's called .client. That's your Maui project. You right click it and you say set as startup. I assume you're on Visual Studio, and then you just hit F5 or you just hit run, and it'll just load up the app through the. Oh yeah, you have to. Okay, I think I understand what you're saying now. Within Visual Studio installer, you should probably ensure that you have your mobile development component selected so that it can run .NET MAUI applications within Visual Studio. And maybe that's the part that you're talking about that you're probably not equipped with yet.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So anyways, like I said, it built the server. It was a dead simple server, actually. Just kind of used minimal endpoints, just passed it through to these grains, which are what Orleans uses. And I think I had it use, what persistence model. I might have even had it persist SQLite on the back end, but Postgres would probably make the most sense.
Is Orleans still in active like support and maintenance?
Yeah. At least last time it was. It actually got elevated into the .NET framework in like .NET 8, maybe.
Yeah, we're currently in .NET 10 right now, right?
Yeah. Now there's an Orleans 10 now, so they updated with.
Okay.
I think that they use it heavily in Azure for all of the maintenance of all of the structure of it. Even if they brand it differently, I think there's a lot of Azure that's built on Orleans, which is why it needs to be part of the core framework. But it makes sense for when you have concurrent people doing things on something, because otherwise what you have is like, oh, I clicked, undo at the same time this person clicked and one of us won, but it got into a funky state. And that solves that problem like really nicely. So plus I really want a reason to use it. I just want to like get the experience of but yeah, I mean, it was like, a totally simple server. It's like catalog or like what was it, phases, jobs. Like it was just pure entity services basically. But
like if it gets any adoption, which is low probability, then again, if it gets adoption, then my plan was to monetize the pro version, and the pro version would have a Teams UX on the app where multiple members can update the state of a project, meaning someone that's specifically responsible for lighting, someone that's specifically responsible for shooting, someone that's specifically responsible for the boom mic or audio. They can all start they would have permissions based on what they're allowed to check off as a to-do item. But they can also go ahead and, for whatever workflows or component or to-do items or task items of workflows, they would be able to check it off so that in theory, in real time, other people with the app in real time can observe items being checked off in real time. If it's a 3-man crew that's trying to shoot a project. So, and again, I'm only interested in actually doing that part if the app actually gets downloaded. But
yeah, and for that you need to handle the concurrency problems that come with I did this. Plus, you'll need a push type mechanism down. which I suppose you just use WebSockets for, but I think that'd be the most appropriate thing. But yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, it's a good plan. It'll feel good to for you to ship something if you if you haven't.
Oh my god! This will be my first down there now app. I shipped a mobile app, I think like 8 years. But
yeah,
yeah,
I haven't shipped shit. So other than episodes of Melvin's Dungeon, which are come out slowly now. But
how's that working out? Did you produce more episodes?
I think I'm up to 19 now. Let me check. Full minute episodes or whatever, or beyond minute. Let me find it here. Yeah, I'm up to 19 now. The most views I have on an actual video are 300, and it's the one with the hottest white chick on it.
Of course.
There's a 125 and a 130, I think, for the rest of them. But it sucks because I built the first episode first, which is the jankiest episode. And I've gotten so much better at it, but
look at this view. I don't know if you can see this view or not.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
That's why I love living here. I love living here, man. This is
you
paradise.
don't want to live in. We're in -50. They canceled school today.
No, it's about 70 degrees out here.
Oh no, it's like negative. It's with wind chill. It's like -50 or something here.
I wish I was riding my motorcycle right now. Oh, golden hour. Golden hour. Golden showers.
They're actually going through the idea that we have exploding trees at this temperature. Because apparently, it gets so cold that the tree sap actually freezes, or the water in the tree does, and then it
expands.
Yeah, and boom! But it doesn't really explode like an explosion. It's more like it bursts like down the middle. Yeah. It's freezing here. I started other than working on your thing, I started a billion different little projects with Claude this week. I'm learning. I think there's got to be a good way to structure architecture for AI, and that's actually a very interesting problem that if you get into, you're probably going to be very interested in it, which is how do I structure the architecture for this, not for human understanding, but to actually make the AI useful on large projects. Because you can do you can do a very acute, follow this chain up and, adjust this. But to understand the big picture, it's really not great at that. And it forgets things about what it did before and, whatever. So I'm trying to figure out ways to build more small plug-in architecture where you just plug stuff in.
They just came out with the skills feature for Claude. Did you review that?
I think I've looked at it a little bit, but not as deep as I should be. What have you learned about it?
I mean, I haven't even used Claude, but I'll consume videos in the morning, when I'm in the shower. And my understanding is skills is a more granular approach for maintaining context in which, and I thought that this feature was always there, but I thought that people had multiple README files, that each README file had a single responsibility for a piece of the applications, whether it's UX guidelines, whether it's how to write, or the personal preference of how the code should be written. I thought all that stuff was already established, and I didn't think it was a feature. I thought it was just a way of architecting your solution explorer. with all these README files, aka notes. But it sounds like the skills feature within Claude is kind of doing the same thing. So I'm not really sure what it's doing differently.
Yeah, I don't know.
Again,
let me look really quickly. Let's see if I can grok it in 10 seconds. Extend Claude with skills. I know it had to create a skill file for me for something. Like, and that's the one thing is a lot of this stuff you can just have it do for you. It'll make it. You just say, hey, yeah, go ahead and edit your stuff. So, okay, so custom / commands have been built into skills. Create, manage, extend. Claude's capabilities include custom / commands. Skills extend it. Get to its toolkit. Skill file agent skills open standard, which works across multiple AI tools. Invocation control, sub-agent execution, and dynamic context injection. Yeah, it looks pretty straightforward. It is basically a markdown file, skill file that you create. I'll have to look at it. There's so much stuff coming out so fast on Claude that it's really difficult to keep up. I'm trying to tool I found that for work, for actual work, what my vision is that I need to get set up so that I can work on multiple projects in parallel. So like historically, like you pull down a ticket, you work that one ticket, and then you finish that ticket, then you go to the next ticket, and then maybe in the middle you have to like context switch back. But to actually achieve like the throughput numbers and become like a 10x your development, I think you need to get into a bunch of parallel work streams going on that you're just supervising. And actually, I was telling a coworker yesterday, I think that in the future, or like the developers who are going to survive AI and thrive in it are the ones that learn to context switch the fastest. Because if you're going to have a bunch of stuff doing stuff in parallel and you're the supervisor and you have to make edits and fixes, like and tweaks using AI, you have to quickly context switch between many different things that are going on, because otherwise if you do it in a single thread, you're just sitting back waiting for you're not doing shit. Like you're going about the same pace probably because you have to sit back and let Claude do its work, or Codex or Gemini. But if you can set up in parallel, then it's a game changer. Yeah.
So what do you think is the more ideal approach for building systems that involve a UI? Or take two. What do you think is the ideal approach for building solutions that involve a face or UI? Do you think that ideally when using AI, you should write out all these use case specifications, basically specifying what the UX should be, and then start from the front and then go all the way to the back end? Or do you think you start from like the view model or the controller, aka the actual like business logic or domain logic, should I say, get all that spec'd out, and then you just attach a UI and a data access layer at the back? Or do you even think it matters, or it doesn't matter?
I don't really know yet. I think it's kind of the Wild West on people find good patterns. But yeah.
I have a feeling that TDD is now going to be like revisited.
Yeah, actually, I have had some good luck with having it do TDD, not me write tests and then just telling it to write tests and TDD its own work. That's been working okay. The thing is it's still like, I don't know if it builds enough complete and useful tests, and I'm at the point where I just want to tell Claude to do shit and I don't even want to look at it. I'm just like, just go build this. I don't give a shit what it looks like. But what I did,
burning credits.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. So I'm in a tool up phase. So I'm iterating over some stuff right now. And what I'm trying to do is build a tool where I can do that fast context switching, between things, but I'm having Claude write that tool, and I've written it like 3 different versions already. And once it gets up to scale, it starts to really break down. So what I'm doing this time through is I'm telling it to write tests up front. At every step, once we complete something, I'm going to have it go back and say, all right, reanalyze stuff. Where are you going to get lost in the future? What do we need to break down, or how can we make it to better structure this so that it'd be easier for you to understand and extend later and not break, that kind of things. So I don't know. It's just a matter of tweaking and tinkering with it and trying different approaches, because there's, like I said, it's the Wild West. There hasn't been a strategy that's won yet. So
can you have a 1,000,000-line code base and still have it maintained by AI?
so sort of. Did I lose you? Oh no, sort of. I like we have a pretty extensive code base where I work. Like it's very, there's just a lot of files and a lot of code, and it does really, really well at, if you can direct it where to go and say work within this vertical, it does a pretty good job at finding shit and working through it. I think too, if you just give it broad problem and don't give it any direction, it might be pretty good at finding it. It can grep things and just look for stuff and try just to define the context, but it might miss stuff. Might miss a lot because it can't hold the entire context of a code base in its head. It's fake head or whatever in its mind. It's just like eventually the code base is too big, which is why I was saying, like, I think that the architectures that are going to win are ones that are plugin or module based, where you have a very, very small context of something that does really, really well. It's basically the same thing that's good for humans, but you actually have to get there, because you can't just claim like, oh, it's a human problem. Like, you have to get to the point where you build small contexts that can actually fit in someone's head. And then separately, then you just have to document the system in a way that it can understand, so it can route requests. And as long as each piece is isolated and fairly contained and small enough, you can have it understand that entire context, and then just understand that it plugs into the world in this way. And you don't need to worry about how it plugs in to the other things. Or maybe there's like 2 or 3 of those contexts that it can hold at a time. But anyways, I've also tried out Gemini CLI and Codex too. Gemini CLI is great for like very fast, specific tasks, but it doesn't do a lot of like big planning. Like, I'll build this whole thing for you. It gives up really quickly, and it's really buggy. Like, a lot of times I hit issues where I just have to shut it off. Codex is a lot slower. I think it reasons better, or it like thinks better about the big picture stuff. But then when it gets down to execution, it's just slow, and it doesn't, I don't know, it's not as good. But Claude is definitely a holy shit. I could see this
Can I put this on speaker? I don't know how to put this on speaker. Hold on.
You tell me, man.
I can't hear. I hear you, but it's not going through my speakerphone. Well, I'm at the crib now. I think I might have to take 5 minutes and hop on my computer and enter back into the studio through my PC.
Okay.
You want to take a couple minutes?
That's good. Yep. Yeah. I'll just sit here and just pop in.
I'll see you there.
Maybe. My name is Scott. I roll up on the block.
Myself.
Hey, Gambler. Sorry. Just noticed that you were there. How's your day going? Gambler joined us.
You'll be able to hear me. No?
Yeah.
Let me try to kill. Check. I can't hear me.
Check. Check the microphone.
You can't hear me at all, can you?
Yo, I can hear you. Yeah.
You can, but I can't hear you. Why can't I hear you? I mean, I heard you on my phone. So what?
I assume Gamblers heard me, unless that he was just sitting here in sadness.
Kill the session on my phone. Close StreamYard streams and recordings. Hey, Gambler. Gambler hears both, but I can't hear Shine. So I am going to back out and then re-enter. How do I back out?
I can hear you just fine, man.
Stop, Mike.
I suppose if he can't hear me, my attempts to try to help him are pretty low. I think he can't hear me or us or whatever.
I think my headset is. I think the battery's dead.
Oh, yeah, that would
I still
explain
can't
it.
hear you.
You can't? Jeez, man. Am I?
What?
Oh, he can hear me, so.
Audio. Speaker. Say something.
Something.
Oh, hold up. I found it. All right. Say something now.
Say something now.
Okay. Right.
Oh, I can hear myself though. Ugh. Did you unbox your Mac yet? You unbox your Mac yet? Time to get at it.
All right. Can you talk?
Yeah, I can talk.
All right. Cool. I have my laptop had everything on mute. So my laptop had the volume on mute, so that's why I couldn't hear anything.
You unbox your MacBook yet?
Nope. I know I'm going to have to do it when I start doing video editing on DaVinci Resolve. Oh yeah, so here's the thing. So the conversation about architecture that's context friendly for AI. Yeah. I think I'll experiment with it, but I think my whole thing about creating a specification library where I have all these function signatures in F#.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll point AI towards those modules that have nothing but function signatures for each particular domain, and that's all the context that it needs, because it just understands the contracts without the implementation details, and it's a lot less code that it loads into the context for it to understand what the system is supposed to do in regards to ins and outs in all the different modules. And then
yeah, I mean, if you do that, you can just point it at it and say implement it based on my spec. So maybe you're prime setup for a very successful thing. And if you get that, if you find a good pattern that works, let me know, because like I said, I'm looking at now to build things that are useful. Like you have to build UIs and stuff, right? And those get ballooned up pretty quickly. So, and I don't know, like it's. I'll tell you. I'll leave it at this. So, I found out this. I thought this week that AI has made it feel like being a junior engineer again. Because I think as a junior engineer, you don't really understand how complicated software is to build and be great. Like you can put out, like a lot of junior engineers can just hammer out code, right? And they can build really cool demos and stuff that just fall flat, or have a lot of bugs or whatever. Because they haven't learned all the lessons we have. They have security issues, all these cross-cutting concerns, maintainability. You got to think about where you're going to deploy all that stuff. And so once you get into once you kind of get out of college, you do your work for a while, you get a family, things don't now you can't spend time on side projects. And so you look at a side project, well, for me anyways, I look at a side project and I go, I could build that, but it would take me probably months and months and months of an hour here, an hour here. And to keep that going over the course of months, I don't have I don't think I've got the what it takes to unless I'm working and getting paid for it anyways. I don't have or if I was not working and I was just freelancing or doing my own thing, building that over the course of months, I just can't do it. I'd lose interest quickly and be done. But with AI, you can build stuff so fast that it's hey, I can actually build a dangerously cool thing. And I have the skills that I know to actually make it right. And so it's you can build stuff so fast and iterate, and things that take you months just of building before, this tool I'm building for work tree management, which gets work trees. I know you don't like branches, but to do parallel development, you have to get into branching and work off of branches. And work trees is work trees are awesome. I could just, so now one of my workflows, yesterday morning, I built 3 different work tree spaces, and then I just opened Claude in each of them, and I had 4 Claude instances just running on different problems at the same time and doing work. And that's what I'm trying to get to, is that I based on my machine limitations right now, I just spin up 3 or 4 agents that are doing my work for me. And then all I just become is a reviewer and corrector and tester, basically. And then we push that out. The problem I'm running into, though, and this isn't necessarily a dig on software engineers, but all of our processes for software development that we do, our code reviews, our quality reviews, all of that is not at the speed of AI. And so you can build all this stuff in AI and say, you know what, it works. It works. It's tested. It works. It's great. But then you get into it wrote code different than what we would, have historically written. So you get in reviews, you get corrections and things that you have to do. And that's just, and it's all and it's really geared towards the historical, everyone's got to maintain this and there's not a way to quickly understand context and stuff like that. So you need to build your code in a certain way to maximize that. No, it's just you get rid of all that and just say what works. And as long as it's thoroughly tested, who cares what the implementation details are? So I feel where the world's going to head is, like you said, we write specs that are high quality, and that's the code that we care the most about. And we actually have no care whatsoever about the implementation details other than what packages are used and stuff like that. And you can have it do its own security audits. You can set, and these other cross-cutting things, you can set multiple agents at it and say, find shit, and it will find shit. Like it finds it every time. So, and it finds things that you don't even think about it will find, which is just amazing. So if you're not using it for at least code reviews to find bugs, do that. And it's, yeah.
I saw a gambler's comment, but then it all disappeared. I don't know if I saw his comment on my phone, but it's not showing up on my laptop. He left a comment at approximately 8:04 p.m.
So at 7:59, he said, "Sit here in sadness." Then he said, "Oh, I forgot to say hi. Well, sickness, cold, relay race here. I think it's my turn." And he said, "I hear both."
Yeah, I don't see it on my laptop. I saw his comments on my phone. So are you coding or are you producing video episodes?
Are you hearing my? Oh, you mean outside of work?
Yeah.
Or right now? I'm actually doing some
outside of work.
Video editing right now. I do those videos every once in a while. So I have my Google Ultra subscription for another month from now. So I've got to complete over the next month. I have to complete Melvin's Dungeon because after that, I don't want to spend the credits to try to build it in the way that I originally built it, which was like I'm just going to try to be minimal cost, whatever. With Ultra, I can create unlimited videos. So anything that goes wrong, I can be like, well, do I want to spend more time trying to fix it?
You didn't mess around with Hicksfield Cinema?
No, although I did see something like I did see something on YouTube yesterday. It was like, and I didn't look at the contents, but it was like, is this the Higgsfield killer? I'm like, I thought that thing just came out. Now there's already a killer for it, you know? So I don't know. Stuff's moving at a lightning speed. Another thing I found out that's good for AI to do is if you need it to like generate an asset or do anything that's not code, like these coding CLI tools can't really generate images. Although very interestingly, yesterday I had a couple days ago I had Codex try to generate a script to get assets for a game just to try it out. And it used its own API key to generate the sounds. Like I didn't feed it an API key. It used its own API key, passed it in, ran the actual code generation or the audio generation. It couldn't do it with images, but for some reason it generated audio.
Oh shoot!
It made like a dozen audio files for me or something like that. I'm like, wow, that's neat. I'm like, I don't know if Codex is supposed to do that. Like, does it just say, hey, you've got this Codex subscription, so let me just use my own API key and hit our own endpoints? And it did it, which was like a holy crap, that was really cool moment. And then for like images and stuff, which it still has trouble with images because to get a perfect like if you're going to do a tile game, let's say, to build all these tiles that are cohesive and in the correct format, it's like it struggles with that. So I think there's specialized AI tools that do this, but yeah, it's I don't know. There's just, dude, it's like the Wild West. It's fun to develop again, and it's not fun to write code as much. Although the one thing I miss is that like getting into the details and really thinking through like, how do I best organize this? Because it can just do it now for me. So I don't know. You got to try Claude though. It was definitely the first thing I used that I was like, okay, I see it.
How many people are now overemployed where, like you said, they're using like Claude to basically handle 3 jobs, so they're collecting 3 paychecks every 2 weeks from different employers.
I don't know. I'm sure that some like independent contractors are doing that. And dude, if you could get to the point where you could output an entire system on your own and sell that as a thing to a company, dude, you could probably with your freelancing abilities, you can get good at this. You could go independent and just, well, you've been independent, but not as a staff augment independent, as an actual like I'm your entire code shop type thing. And plus with your Azure skills and all that, dude, if you can get this AI piece figured out, you could be a one-man shop. But again, it's like I said, context switching and doing parallel things in parallel. I'm also thinking about stuff like now the idea of dev containers is probably 10x more important because you can set up and just spin up these agents in their own dev containers.
What's a dev container?
So dev container is like it puts your entire environment in a sandboxed area or in a container, and it will serve up VS Code from there, which I'm assuming that you can also just set it up to serve Claude or Gemini or Codex or all of them together, and then just jump into that context in that, and then have it be a self-contained, basically like a virtual machine where you're doing development here, then you spin up another container, do it here. Now, if you mix that in with being able to scale out those containers in the cloud, where you just spin them up, you can have multiple parallel work streams, and all you have to do is orchestrate and maintain them all, and have many things working on the same problem at once, as long as you can keep them within small contexts so that they don't, like having a complete dev workforce, you got to put them in small contexts so they don't have conflicts with each other. I think if you make a really solid tool plugin type system where you just inject a chunk into an existing platform framework, dude, like I said, that's why the architecture piece of this is so interesting to me, because there's got to be an ideal architecture out there that will make it so that AI can just build out an entire system in vertical slices in small contexts and just churn through it. So I'm like going all in on this. I'm trying to get to the point where I'm AI first, doing everything in that, and I'm just the orchestrator, reviewer, tester type thing, manual testing type stuff. And I'm going hard into it. And hopefully I get there.
My job blocked access to Gemini and ChatGPT. I discovered yesterday.
Yeah. You know what that means? That means they're going to lose.
It's government.
Honestly,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
government doesn't lose. They have unlimited budget.
Well, for now, but they continue to go through budgeting with the Trump administration, and a lot of the DoD, was it Section 8 or something like that? Stuff that they just used to hand off to people and then they would sublet, like a lot of that shit's getting shut down. I'm sure a lot of other stuff is spinning up in its place, but yeah, a lot of that's getting shut down. So yeah, I don't know. I would definitely highly.
I wonder how quickly my MacBook will spin this up. What do I just go to the Claude website?
Yeah, Claude Code. Like I said, the subscription's a little spendy, but it's it's worth it.
Here we go, down here.
Like you could probably do like some small changes with their Pro. You hit your usage really fast, I found, because Claude is just really good at churning through a lot. And you could do the API stuff mode where you just pay as you go. It's a lot faster actually than running it with a subscription, but it's a lot more expensive. Like you can churn through $100 in like a couple hours. I mean, really, well, like half a day maybe. But yeah, they keep adding features. You can get it hooked into browsers and have it like I had it pointed. One of the experiments I tried was I used their browser feature, which is just this -- Chrome, and then you have to have a Chrome plugin. And I set it at a website and said, make a better version of this. And it just pulled the website, explored it, and built one. Pretty insane to
actually
watch.
Just went hella choppy. I missed like the last 10 seconds of what you were saying because something happened on the network.
So I set it up and had it pointed at a website, and I said, make a better version of this. And I used this Chrome extension plus the -- Chrome. It's a official Anthropic one. I said, just go explore this website and make a better version of it. And it did it. I'm like, okay, well, now I need to add a back end for a content management system. What's the simplest thing we can do? And it tried to make one, but I'm like, I think that's too complex. So I was like an ideal situation for someone who's not a tech person who's trying to maintain their website would be like push it all into like Google Docs or something and have everything edited there. Or like a G Drive or something like that, and they just edit files and then create a pipeline to go. But yeah, no, Claude is definitely top of the game. And dude, people are building stuff for it all the time. There's one where somebody built a delegate feature where it'll actually Claude is like your main orchestrator, and then you can delegate off to like Codex or Gemini smaller tasks. Like it's getting crazy good, crazy fast. So. Like I said, if you're sleeping on it.
Who's the brain of Claude? Is it a single individual? Like, who's the visionary?
I think there was one guy who created it, and he's still with it. So it's still in the original vision stage where, you know, they obviously have a lot of money behind them, but I think he's still there making it all possible. And it's just, I don't know, it's just good. It obviously, like I said, it's not perfect. It's not a silver bullet. You can't just say go right now and it does it perfectly. It gets pretty darn close though. But then once you do system changes over time, that's where it starts to fall flat because it loses its original context. And that's why I think the architecture matters a lot. Because that's and the thing is, like I said, I think what's good for people and is good for AI and vice versa. Like if we can create small modules that are understandable, that don't have side effects outside of it, and plug into something where you can just treat everything that you're doing like building a small application, and then just composing those at a higher level. So it doesn't need to know the total input context. All it needs to know is that this context does this, and this is how it plugs into the ecosystem, and here's what capabilities that it offers, and here's what it needs. You can just compose all that shit together and you're good. But like I said, it's experimenting right now and trying different things. So
I just noticed something. I noticed that when I click this, I'm like, oh, it's not doing anything. I guess I need to add some UX and figure out what this button's supposed to do. And then when I went back, so this is a community.
Yep.
Whatever. And then when I go back to my personal library, I see that it actually added it. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, what I usually do is I go to take two. What I usually do is I go to Gemini and I say, hey, Gemini, there's something called equipment. Hold up. Equipment library. That's the view. Take three. Equipment library view model. And then I say, I wish there was a shortcut for me to open it up in File Explorer. And I will provide it these two files, these two view models.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. It can't interact, so your workflow is really slow. You can do this exact same thing with just Gemini CLI, get the same output, but just do it all locally. You just say, here's the two files I want you to look at. You don't have to do copy, pasting, all that. Like, and that's just Gemini CLI. Like, you could do that if we can figure out your NPM situation. But yeah, dude, it's a crazy world. And I went from being like kind of like cautious about it to now I'm like, nope, I'm gonna go all in. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna learn the tools. I'm gonna elevate myself to a new level and see if I can get to that 10x type throughput using this, because I think that's where we're headed. So shit, I was gonna do something and I totally forgot. I was going to do.
When I tap the add control on an image, there's no UX that lets a user know that that an equipment item has been added to a user's local equipment locker library. I.e. my locker. So usually what I have to say is I type what's the ideal UI and UX that maximizes a user's productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness, all while reducing risk.
Here, do these two things after you're done with your prompt. At the start of the prompt, before you're on the equipment library, say act as a UX designer. So above your first line, just put like act as a like senior or principal UX designer or something like that. So that immediately puts it into a context of this is who I am and this is the kind of knowledge pathways that I need to. It'll define that, but it just helps it get there, I think. Then the last thing, be at the very end after you're done with that, do ask me questions if this is not crystal clear what I am asking for.
Line on the README file for
and ask
overview
and say ask questions if this is not crystal clear or you need clarification on what something does or anything like that. I always do ask me questions if my request is not crystal clear or the implementation is not, or the ask is not crystal clear. I just say that.
You have to say
I do that in it doesn't matter. And then just something to say, like, you might get this wrong. Don't essentially what it's doing is saying, don't just one shot this and like, whatever, actually think about it and tell me. Actually, you can probably with here say, with pro selected, you're fine. But yeah, those are the two things that I add a lot of times is what they need to act as, and then clear. Now with Claude, you can set up agents, and all agents are in Claude are like a sub agent of Claude that gets an initial script. So you can say, I want you to be my code designer. I want you to be this. And there's a whole like library of agents out there that you can use that are like, here's a UX designer, here's a front end developer, here's a whatever. And I don't know. We'll see how Gemini does. Like, I know this works. Those additions work well with Claude.
All I have to tell Gemini is to provide the ideal blank, blank, blank. If I don't say do something using the ideal UX, then it'll just do whatever. But if I specify like, no, what's the ideal way of doing this, then it almost always delivers like just high-end solutions. I don't know why I have to say ideal, but that's what I learned. Based on the studio command philosophy and the readme.txt guidelines, the current implementation fails two critical UX rules: cognitive signaling lack of visual feedback, and physicality, like violating the ghost touch rule with small targets. Here's the ideal UX design to fix a quick ad experience on the community tab. The solution, the acquisition pulse. The interaction must transition the item from foreign intelligence gold to owned asset blue instantly, confirming the data has moved to local cache without blocking the user's flow. We'll use a state transformation on the plus button. Initial step, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
And now the thing is with planning mode, you would get the same stuff in like Gemini or Claude or Codex, but then you can just tell it to do it. Once it's got it, you review it, and then you review those changes.
Yeah. So what I usually have to do is then I say, show the. Don't ask me why, but I have to say show the full and completed whatever file that addresses the proposed updates. And I have to do that for both the view model and the XAML page.
And with the CLI tool, dude, your workflow right now is kind of in the Stone Age in terms of like interacting with these CLI tools. It's like you can tell it and it'll just go make the change. You don't have to get the whole thing, copy paste and then try to figure out what the things are. It'll make it, and you just use Git to review the actual changes that it made and say, oh, I don't like this, I like this, I don't like this, this is missing something.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with doing things manually before I learn the advantages of what the modern way of doing things are. Once I finish like the first release, I'll go a full week into learning all this modern stuff. But I wasn't getting anywhere. Like Odie tried to help me, and I was confused, and I hated the UX experience or developer experience. I usually attach the file again.
So you tried the CLI on Gemini, or?
Yep.
Did you get it running, or?
Yeah. Odie.
And you don't like the CLI tooling, or is it just like you don't like the flow? Or
I didn't like the user experience. I didn't understand. All I see is like matrix command lines going all over the place, and I have no clue what's happening.
It's just doing work. Yeah, that's what I'm saying is what you do is you take a small thing like you're doing here. You do your exact same thing, focus it on a very specific problem. You reference your exact files that you want like you did here. And then you say, make sure you're using Git, make sure you do that. And then just say, don't commit stage, but don't commit changes. Then you become a code reviewer. So you just go in and look at it and then start to augment it based on the diffs. Once you're done, you commit.
I didn't know what it was doing. It was just command line jargon all over the place.
Yeah, it's doing the same thing it's doing here.
Yeah, but I know what I'm looking at here.
Yeah. Claude's experience is significantly, it still has the thing, but it's significantly better than Gemini's in terms of how it asks you questions and stuff like that, and how it outputs it. And plus, if you want to see what it's doing, just tell it to output what you're going to do to a thing. Also, if you haven't used planning mode, it'll generate all this stuff, put it into a big like markdown document that you can just review ahead of time in the same way that you did that first set. Then tell it what you want it to change until your plan is good. Then you tell it to execute the plan. Then you use the Git workflows to look at it. So
show the full and completed. I'm totally okay right now spoon feeding it. Show the full and completed whatever file that addresses the proposed updates. I've attached the original file for context. So then, where is it at? I just need the SAML file right here. That's probably going to take a minute. What are your plans for this weekend?
I don't know. It's really cold here, so we got a hockey tournament on Sunday that I have to go to. I get to go to. And then,
what?
My son's hockey tournament. He's at a hockey tournament.
Oh.
But other than that, it's an open weekend because it was too cold to go ice fishing here. It's like it's negative 25 here, and it feels like negative 41 outside. So, like, you're in 70s. So we've got about 110 degree difference between what it feels like there versus here. So it's just way too cold to do anything outside. So it'll be a stay in and work on shit week kind of weekend, I think. Probably try to pump out another 1 or 2 Melvin's Dungeons episodes. I'm getting very close. But I keep finding threads I need to follow through on and keep adding stuff. So I've got to I got to get to this climactic or like this. I got to get to the end of Act 2 so I can finish it out. But like the arc right now is that Melvin gets promoted to this dungeon level that doesn't get any players. They're trying to find a way to add players or get players to play their level so that they can, like the people in this environment, their motive is to play with people. Like the monsters in the dungeon want to play. That's like their primary motivation in life is to play against adventurers in a game. And so they're like, well, it's like Toy Story, where Toy Story, like all the characters want to play with kids, but then if they don't get played with, they're all depressed and shit. So it's the same as that kind of mentality. And so they go through this whole arc of trying to figure out, but they have this complication because this Lord Evil, because of the way that this Melvin dated his girlfriend or wife or whatever, I don't know. They have this conflict there where they're trying to do this, but there's all these roadblocks. And so they finally pieced together in this latest episode how to build this thing to try to convince this dungeon crawler guy to come back and play the game. But they don't have proof that it works, so they need to now actually find all the proof. And I think that the end of this is going to be that they test it, or I don't know, because there has to be a low moment at the end of Act 2, right? Where they're like at their lowest point, and then they build themselves back up in the same way that they did for the first 2 acts. Like they did their intro, they set the problem, they did all this work to try to solve it, and then it doesn't solve it, or there's a big moment where everything fails. And then in the final act, they have to somehow work through that and use everything that they learned or grew through the second act to build up to the climax and get back to that moment where everything comes together.
Shoot, hold up for a second.
Yep.
Library item view model. Why did it? Yeah, you're doing a lot.
Yeah, I'm juggling a lot of things.
Oh,
but like I said, it's like being a junior developer again, because you can actually be effective by yourself again with a more complicated system. And especially with technologies that you may not have like perfect command over. Like I can write up a .NET API like no problem, but to build a front end with that, I can build a front end too. But then you need to know all the building and how to set up your environment. You need to do all those cross-cutting concerns. If you're trying to do anything of substance, you have to have all these like dependencies and things you have to go learn. It's like there's no way I could do all that with the time that I have, but now I can. So it's just a matter of finding the right idea that clicks with me and building it. And I can be very effective.
There's no way someone can learn software development with all this crap.
No, they're not going to learn. Like you can use it to be dangerous. That's what I'm saying is when you're a junior developer, like you can have it. Now you're going to be like 20x what you could do in terms of getting stuff close to right, but it's still going to be buggy as sin unless we, like I said, solve the problem of getting it into a place where we have the perfect architecture for AI that works with just about any problem. And I think we're still trying to figure that out. But like I started probably like 6 different projects for things just to see how these tools work. trying Codex and Gemini, and there's another one called Goose I want to try too, which is, I think it's a plug in your own models type thing. But that's another one on my list to try for a CLI tool.
Well, it messed up the layout of the images, but when we hit the plus sign now, okay.
Yeah. Another thing though that I've found works is take a screenshot and say, because it needs that visual feedback. So you take a screenshot and say, these are my problems with this. Understand from the code, you know, as a UI developer, look at these screenshots and
I do that.
And designer. Yeah.
I already have it on my clipboard.
Yep.
But
the thing is with the tool workflows, you don't have to do all this copy pasting, except for putting the image somewhere, unless you can get a feedback loop, which there are tools, MCP service, to get those feedback loops. Like I wonder if the Android emulator has an MCP yet to grab stuff, because that'd be a killer thing. But you can see I'm all hyped up. Like I haven't had this fun. I haven't had this much fun with trying to get into developing things for, like, it has to be before I started at TCG Player. So it'd been 2020 was the last time I really just had this, like, I had a month off. So I was just working on my own thing and I was just having a hell of a lot of fun, but I had the time. But now I have the time because AI can just do it. So.
Also, the check mark after tapping the add control. Looks great, but doesn't communicate that the local library has been updated via the community library equipment item selection. I attached files for hold on for a second.
That's good.
Hello?
Yeah, you want to go on mute?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on mute. Where's the mute button at?
Hit the first one. There you go. We're about done with our time too. Shoot. Well, anyways.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. We I don't know. I don't normally get phone calls from certain people at this time, so I had to take it.
Yeah, no, that's all good.
My name is Scott. Yeah, like I'm interested in being overemployed. So what happens when you charge? So now you can accept like $60 an hour contracts and just do 3 of them at the same time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I just have to make sure to cover your AI costs. But yeah, you're right. You can if you can get the delivery thing dialed in.
You just have to make sure that those contracts don't involve you in meetings all day. Just a daily stand-up. That's it. But I think the more senior you are, the more they just want to bring you into meetings.
I love meetings, dude. That's where I get the context that I need to actually be effective. It depends on the type of meeting, but
wait, Scott, what's the status on this? Why don't you print the JIRA report and they'll tell you?
Yeah, status meetings are dumb. It's the design and like actually like what are we trying to build type meetings that are and roadmap type meetings and understanding where the future is going so you can plan for it. All those things are to me good.
What's the ideal UI and UX to address this concern?
One of the things I'm also trying right now with this tool I'm trying to build for myself to do context switching really fast is after each big thing that I add to it, I tell it to now I'm telling it to review its architecture and decompose it after that. The same thing what you're supposed to do with TDD, right? You write your tests, you build something that works. Once they're green, then you refactor that refactoring step that gets missed. So after every like big thing, I'm going to go back and say, all right, did you decompose these things into reusable components for the front end? Did you, is the server architecture still valid or is it getting too complex? So I'm having it do checkpoints along the way so it's like a workflow of build this with unit tests or whatever, get the test passing, make sure they're good. Then once everything's good, reanalyze everything and make sure we're still in a good shape. Does that. Then I start on the next feature and I just keep going and going.
Can you have a job run overnight while you're sleeping?
Yeah, if you let it run dangerously, but eventually it'll like stop doing stuff. So if you had an orchestrator that kept running, maybe. There's this thing called the Ralph Wiggum loop that people were using, where they literally what they apparently do is they just write a simple command app that runs Claude and says, hey, go do this. And it just runs the same prompt over and over again. And I think the idea is that it keeps reviewing its own code and making it better. I don't know. I guess Claude's tried to shut it down or something or changed it. I don't know. It's this Ralph Wiggum loop. If you ever see that in
why would they try to shut it down? It's making them money the more tokens they burn.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if Anthropic is still subsidized or if they're actually profitable at this point.
I think
my biggest fear now is that the AI bubble is going to pop, the money's going to be gone, and all of this shit's going to go up to extraordinarily expensive
China.
And we're not going to be able to. Yeah, and we're not going to be able to. We're basically going to have to go back to the way things were, but we've already like let the genie out of the bottle. So
it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. So, but it's really cool what all the problem solving outcome of that, because now there's a bigger need for energy than what we had before because we have to both support people and these things. So that'll lead to new innovations on, I think, different energy fronts. And building out data centers, having the materials that we need to build these things. But eventually I feel like you just saturate the market with so much and everything goes to zero. So really it's like we can write software much faster and make companies much faster, but you still need to have a company that has a very focused goal and executes well and does something with a moat that is not easily doable by AI. So like if you're doing in a company like finance, for instance, that has usage, like you could do everything manually. And you're going to win if you can do it in a fast, automated fashion better than everyone else. But you can't replicate the connections and like the human bits that you need with AI. So I worry though that eventually the norm will be we don't hire people, we outsource everything because they're going to use AI to do this anyways. So That's why I said I think to survive, you need to position yourself as an AI first developer. You need to find these patterns that work and become proficient, and then context switch really, really, really well. And that's going to be the primary capability that we'll look for in developers is their ability to context switch. So,
well, how would they know that?
Social proof. You need to bring back Nikeza. Be like, here's my AI social proof.
Oh yeah. Actually,
here's all the billion projects I made with stuff. Yeah.
How many repos do you have in your GitHub?
I don't know. Not as much. I have private ones that I've run, but I do a lot of stuff. I haven't had something that I've felt like. Sometimes I'll create repos and then they're just barren. Like I have a lot of just dead, empty repos. But I have a bunch of stuff locally that I just churn over, and there's no point in pushing it because it's all vapor crap that I'm just testing with. But yeah, I might have like 2 or 3 repos that have some minor popularity, but from like a decade ago when I was doing a lot of Electron stuff, and I became like I was like the top Electron person in Stack Overflow for a short period of time.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that a while back.
Yeah. So I think I got a couple of repos that are still referenced out there that get used, but all this shit's changing though. We're not going to be working with stuff the same way we used to.
You know, I have my phone on Do Not Disturb, and like some apps completely ignore it. I just realized that.
Oh man! So I was ice fishing a couple weeks ago, and the auger went this way and shoved my knuckle like 3 times. It shoved it into the edge of a board, and now like it feels like it heals, and then I do something like I pull it a certain way. Like if I grip something and have to pull strength on it, it like re-breaks the healing. So my knuckles are just like in a lot of weird pain right now.
Hold up, you did what with your hand?
So I have an auger, right? An auger goes and drills the holes in the ice. Well, at some point it got stuck towards the bottom and it jerks it. Well, it jerked my knuckle directly into my fish house trim. And like 3 times this happened, and every time it hurt worse than the time before. And now it's trying to heal, but it's because of like how much you have to do with your hands, it's just not healing right. So I keep getting pains in it.
So how thick is the ice?
I think it was this last week. It was probably around 19 inches. Up when I was up at another lake, it was well over 20.
20-inch thick ice.
House. Yeah, it'll get more. It'll get like.
What's the recommended thickness, or what's the minimal thickness recommended for someone to drive their car over, where it's safe for someone to drive their
to drive
4,000 pound car?
Yeah, there's a graphic for this, and it's a little bit inflated because they want it to be inflated. But cars 8 to 12 inches. So humans at 4 inches, just if you're walking. Snowmobiles and ATVs are like, well, probably between 5 and 7 inches. Cars are 8 to 12. Trucks are like 12 to 15, and then once you get beyond 15, you can start getting houses and stuff like that. Although they adjust this graphic all the time to make it like the ice should be thicker type thing. But yeah, no, it's like, I don't know. I kind of want you to come up and experience it sometime, because it is if you've never been out ice fishing or on the ice driving around, it's like when you first time you hear those ice crack, the big ice cracks, especially ones that run under your house, your butthole clenches a little bit. Like, you know, it just.
Oh, that's cool.
Like,
it addressed it. It added like a little toast notification. Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
Ta-da!
I can't believe that. It's so slow. It's probably just the emulator, though.
It is. When I put it on my phone, it's a lot faster. So now I get to commit that and say, do you use any at work? Do you guys use conventions for your commits?
It used to be more important, but at most places I've done, it's like you put the ticket number and then you give your message. Or they'll usually have, like, another place I worked had you put like TFS ticket number, and then like they had a very specific format you followed for commit messages. But I don't know. Actually, it's kind of cool. I have Claude actually do a lot of my commit messages now. Hey, just make a useful commit message here following this pattern. Boom. Puts in like a lot of details that I would just write, not do much with.
Oh.
See you, Gambler. Have a great weekend.
My only viewer. Gambler, see you later. I guess we got 2 minutes. I want to get this thing out. And then, so I got 2 minutes left. The growth. So the reason why I'm kind of interested in doing the Teams feature for this app is because I need a strategy for growth hacking. And one of the strategies is a network effect, right? Where people, in order for the app to be useful, people have to share the app with other people in order to do something. So that's the thing that's on my radar.
Yeah, I think the big problem you've got is the friction of getting an Android, or I'm assuming you're doing an iOS as well. Like there's friction in downloading and stuff like that. I think if you had a web interface to get the initial, like, oh, that's what we're using it for, that would really help. Actually, it'd be a fun experiment for you to say, hey, this is my XAML app, and set Claude code at it and say, generate a website using like Vue or React, and say, just make it a duplicate or a web-friendly version of this. It runs in the browser, uses local storage or IndexedDB or something for the, you can also do it as a progressive web app. Actually, I'm doing all of my web apps as progressive web apps now. So you can install them through Chrome. So once you have Chrome installed, if you set it up as a PWA, you just go to the top and say install. It becomes a native application, essentially. You get a few extra bells and whistles, I think, in terms of permissions, and then being able to send notifications and having background workers. But if you download I think it's the Starbucks app on your phone, that's 100% a progressive web app.
All in theory. So this is a .NET MAUI app. In theory, I think, and you already said it, I should just be able to say, take these XAML pages, port it to HTML5 or whatever, and take into consideration that the user experience should reflect a laptop monitor.
Yeah. And you can say it should be the same at a mobile resolution, but then when you go to a desktop size or a tablet size, it has to have a better or different experience. Dude, that would be a great thing for you to try.
Oh, hold up. I thought I misinterpreted. You're saying build a progressive web app for the mobile with emphasis.
No, I mean, you can though build it that way. And maybe that would even simplify, because then you've got your website and your native app. But there's certain things you can do in native that you just can't do with PWAs, I think. So it depends on the use case. But no, you can do a lot with PWAs. And but even if you just did it for the website and had them separate, it would be interesting to see how well it could replicate the XAML app in HTML. Like Claude, I know, is capable of at least getting the point. If you set Gemini CLI at it, it's gonna follow. Or Codex might be able to do it too. If you've got a ChatGPT subscription, you can get a lot of usage out of Codex before it runs out of your allotted, like the provisions that it's allotted for you. Like there's, yeah. Anyways.
Well, it's 9:00. It's been real. I got a lot out of this. So
yeah, it was fun. Fun for me to just drone on about how I'm going hard on AI.
yeah.
All right.
Pull latest from this repo, and you'll see. When did you pull down the repo? Last week?
Earlier this week, maybe 2 nights ago.
Yeah, it was a lot of stuff.
I mean, I could post a branch if you want to see what it spit out for the server thing with Orleans. I didn't want to because I'm like, I have no way to test this. It's probably just junk, but whatever.
Yeah, you could go ahead and do it. I don't.
Cat's trying to grab this shit. Well, it's just a branch, so you don't have to do anything with it. But
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'm gonna get back to my normal life.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
All right. See you.
Bye.